Welcome to Cultivate, the show where we talk about building, growing, and figuring it out as you go. If you're new here, welcome. I'm your host, Alex, and I am so glad you're here today. Real quick, did you know that subscribing to the show is completely free? It only takes 2 seconds and is one of the simplest ways you can support what we're building here. Subscribing helps us land sponsors and helps me figure out what kind of guests to bring into the conversation. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. It means more than you know. Now, today's guest is someone I've been genuinely excited to sit down with. Barbara Stone is an entrepreneur, author, leadership development coach, and speaker out of Syracuse, New York, and the founder of Build Your Path LLC. Barb spent 25 years in senior leadership in manufacturing, executive vice president, CFO, impressive by every measure, and then she stopped to ask herself, whose definition of success am I actually living? That question changed everything. What followed was a new business, a new mission, and in April 2025, a new book. So much to drool about, lessons for living large, inspired by her beloved Great Danes. Through personal loss, living with alopecia, and walking away from a career that looked great on paper, Barb has built something real. Not just a business, a life that actually looks like her. In this episode, we talk about what finally made her walk away from a 25-year career at the top, why resilience is about building forward and not bouncing back, what her Great Danes taught her about presence, joy, and gratitude, and what she wants every quietly unfulfilled high achiever to hear. This one might just make you brave enough to ask that question too. Let's dive in. Barb Stone, welcome to Cultivate.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, glad to be here.
I am so glad you're here. It's been a long time coming. You have dedicated what seems like your entire life to empowering and supporting women entrepreneurs. The work that you're doing, I'm sure, and the work that you've done has changed so many women's life right here in Central New York. But you've also spent 25 years in senior leadership roles. By most definitions, I guess you could say you've made it.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you today?
You know, success is really about what is going to make you happy. For the longest time, when I finished my undergrad and then I went and I got my MBA and then I decided I was going to get into manufacturing, and it's like, okay, you need to be climbing ladders, you need to be making money, and you need to be doing more and more and more. And it was like, it got to be exhausting. And especially being a woman in manufacturing, so many times I did not live in that manufacturing environment, and I went into new companies and men would go like, and who are you to think you're going to tell me what to do? And I'm going like, I'm not planning on telling you what to do. I want to work with you to discover what we need to do. And each time I went into the companies, I never had to put my resume out. My reputation came before me and people found me. And so I'd go into these different organizations because they knew that I could help them make change. And that's really what was important. But at the same time, when I got in there, it was like, hitting my head against the wall. And finally, I ended up having to say, is this all that there is for me to do, to keep trying to climb ladders and fix a lot of problems and stuff like that, and trying to get everybody on the right path? And so I needed to take care of me. And so I started studying resiliency, positive psychology, and that eventually led me to dabbling in some coaching things, which then ended up saying, this is what I think I want to do. And that's why I got my first certification. I took my training in 2018 and said, I'm going to quit work and I'm going to put this thing out in the world and see if I could do it. It was another challenge for me.
Yeah. Do you remember the moment where you woke up and realized you were done climbing the corporate ladder and working in this space and wanted to go all in and build your own thing?
I think it wasn't just a wake-up moment. It was like an awareness that came to me and going like, well, what else is there? One of the things is I'm always looking at different things that come to me and going like, well, what if? What if I could try that? What if I could do this? Part of my heart in my manufacturing was to be better or make the process be better and make my people be better. So many times I walked into situations in the manufacturing, I didn't know anything about it. The process, quality, heat treat, machining, but I knew how to bring people along. So I wanted to do that. And so I'm going like, I can think about doing this. I can help people move forward and also recognizing what did I need throughout my life. I needed to have a guide with me. So why couldn't I guide people? And that's what led me to starting to do some of my coaching certifications to move that forward. Because I'm always like, do I have enough in me to do it? And so I'm always looking for more to do better for me to be able to help other people. So that's why I did that.
Would you say that you're hardwired for positive thinking, or is this something that you kind of had to develop?
Oh, I've had to rewire those new brain neural pathways. I mean, I talk to people about this all the time. We get into habits. And for us to really make changes, there's learning steps. It's unconsciously incompetent. And that's what was happening to me. I was unconsciously incompetent. And then what you need to do is you need to become conscious of that incompetencies so that you can make a change to your habit. And then as you start making these new neural pathways, and I talk to people about, think about a hill with snow on it. And if you're going down with a sled, it's easier to go down the path where there's been a sled before, but when you start going into new powder, it's difficult. So it's like you have to make a conscious effort to really be able to make that change until that change becomes an unconscious competency. That's where it's going to happen. So it takes a while. And that's what happened to me. But positive psychology is really based upon what's working. It's not like what needs to be fixed, but building on what's working. So that really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And I honestly think that without self-awareness, there's really not going to be a lot of reasoning to change.
Yeah.
And some people are extremely introspective and highly self-aware, but others might live their lives a little bit more outwardly in the world.
Yep.
And might be lacking self-awareness a bit.
Yeah.
How would you coach someone in increasing their level of self-awareness?
So one of the things I work with leaders is, and I have this like leadership model that I train to, and it's being a leader starts with being a leader of self. And the leader of self needs to know their values and their purpose and their emotions. And then as you start becoming more aware of that, the leadership model talks about you being a visionary, but then it's also about a partner. And you think about people that you go through in life, not only the people that work for you, but co-workers. They're partners. And they have their own leader of self, but you need to be able to do this thing that I call a lot of yes and. And then as a leader, we're also a coach. And you need to be able, people don't want to be managed. People want to be part of the process. So how can you bring them along? But the last part of it is being aware, the awareness as a leader. So you need to be aware of self. You need to be aware of what's going on with others. And you need to be aware of when you step into a room, what's going on. Because I really, truly believe that awareness will allow you to really be able to connect because there's a human on the other side and you don't know what that human is going through. So tap into yourself, but also be aware of your actions and what you're doing to be able to connect people from there.
What does tapping into yourself look like for you?
For me, it's a lot of pausing and kind of say, what's going on? And sometimes I need to take a step back and saying, is this still in alignment with me? Isn't it still in alignment with my purpose, my values? What is it rubbing up against that I may need to shift? And so many times on this path, since I left my corporate job, I've, had to take a pause and shift what I was doing because it wasn't in alignment with me. And I really want to be, because that's what we need to do. That's what we need to help people be and be with themselves, to be in alignment.
One thing I've learned as someone who is really just scratching the surface of leadership, but also would probably identify as a people pleaser, it's been really hard for me to take a beat, take a pause, and take my time so that I can figure out if things are in alignment. But along the way, I've learned how to say, you know what, let me think about that. Let me get back to you.
Yep.
Are there any other phrases or tools people can put in their tool belt to allow themselves to take the time and space they need to become more self-aware, or just to make sure that the decisions they're making are in alignment with their values?
What you ended up stating was a people pleaser. Yes, because we want to be everything for everyone. And that's what happened to me. I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be the best employee. I wanted to be able to climb that ladder. But the reality is, I lost myself in the process. And so one of the things is always constantly checking in with yourself. And, part of it, I'm going to just do a little plug for the book. Part of the reason that I wrote this book, So Much to Drool About, is because we all need a check-in, and we all need a check-in to really be able to live our lives and live our days being intentful. And I found that during the pandemic, we were getting up, looking at the phones, looking at TV, and going down a negative rabbit hole. And I really needed something to be inspired, to really be able to find something that could connect to myself so that I could take that day and live with intent, as opposed to just floundering and roaming around because I need to be that people pleaser. So I wrote the book because I wanted to be able to inspire people on a daily basis. I truly believe that we need to be inspired daily and really be intentful with what we're doing, but also taking that moment to pause. One of my favoriteest quotes is by Viktor Frankl, and I will paraphrase it. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. But one of the things he ended up saying is, between a stimulus and a response is a space. I call it the pause. And that's where we grow, and that's where we learn, instead of just reacting. So that, to me, is such a powerful quote. When I first started studying resiliency, I had so many wonderful teachers around me. Maria Serwa was doing that course, and I took it through Kripalu. And that was one of the first quotes that she had put up on the PowerPoint. And I'm going, oh, wow. And it was like, that hit me. And it's like, yeah, we all go through things. We're not going to stop that. We have life that's happening to us, but we do get a chance to really react and learn in the way we want to, as opposed to just an automatic reaction that is not going to be aligned with us, and will not help the situation or help people.
Yeah. And that's why I know I just said I would identify as someone who is a people pleaser, but I would say more so I'm a recovering people pleaser because I refuse to label myself as that anymore. If I'm ever going to change, I can't identify as that. And if there's anything I've realized that people pleasing has cost me, it's cost me my goals. It's cost me my vision, because when you are far more concerned about being perceived as nice and being liked by others, you realize that you're not actually living your life. You're living life within the expectations of everyone around you. And that just leads you to being pulled in a million different directions and pulled away from the life that you're trying to build for yourself. And I realized this because I wasn't hitting my goals. I wasn't meeting my deadlines. And it's because I was doing these random side quests and responding to these requests that I never signed up for, but really because I was in this reaction mode of just serving and pleasing others and wasn't being all that intentional. I wasn't sitting down or drawing boundaries to protect my goals or my peace for that matter. What does it look like to live every day inspired and with intent?
I just want to say yes. And the original name of my TEDx talk was going to be Looking Good and Getting It Right is Killing Our Souls. And it's like, yeah, you just kind
I
of
like
kept,
that.
yeah, except, and it's okay. TEDx can change whatever they want. So they changed the title to being Perfection is Overrated. And that's kind of like what you did. And that's what I have done. And I still need to check in and saying, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? Is it really authentically myself? Is it authentically the life I want to live? And that's where the awareness comes in. That's where the how you're butting up against different values or your purpose. And it's really taking that moment to saying, this is what I want to accomplish in the morning. And I really truly believe, and I have a lead magnet that talks about, what are you grateful for? We have so much to be grateful for, but immediately our brain goes to the negative things. So it's like starting the daily practice of what are you grateful for? Then I really believe in prayer and meditation, because I really truly believe you need to rest your brain and allow these things to come to you instead of allowing that squirrely brain that just starts doing the negative things. And you really need to be able to just settle, quiet your brain. But then the third thing is really reading something inspirational so that you can think about something that you really, how do you want to live your life into the day? And that's what I did during the pandemic. That's why I wrote the book, is because I want people to think about what they can be intentful for the day. And then the last thing is, after you've done all of that, then take a look at your calendar. Because if we go to our calendar first, we become squirrely, and it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get this. I didn't get this done. And instead, again, taking care of yourself. What are you grateful for? Take that moment of pause. Read something inspirational to be able to inspire you to move through the day.
I really like that. My morning routine looks different every day, but I really try to integrate a lot of those things because it does work.
Yeah.
And in a way, not in a way, you are priming yourself for a good, healthy, happy day.
I love
When
that word, priming. Yeah.
you're filling your cup. I strongly believe in the power of gratitude, but on top of that, prayer, not only are you giving your mind a space to rest and to discover, but I think it's important for you to realize that you aren't the biggest power in the world.
Yeah.
There is something above you.
Yeah.
And I think that just that awareness that my problems are so small, but that doesn't discount them in any way.
Yeah.
And I'm always supported. I'm always loved,
Mhm.
whether it's by God, source, universe, whatever you believe in. It's important to acknowledge that first thing in the morning. I think it sets you up for a day where you are ready to work
Yep.
and be resilient and to work through problems. Um, and doing all of this before you look at the calendar
Mhm.
is probably super helpful with if you,
Yeah.
especially if you suffer from anxiety.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah.
So let's talk about, hold on one sec. I'm going to grab it really quick. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you will see this beautiful
Yeah.
cover. Who is this on the cover?
That's Zeus.
Zeus. What a
Yeah, that's
name.
Zeus.
Zeus is a
Yes.
Great Dane.
Yes, he is. Yes.
And this book is called So Much to Drool About: Lessons for Living Large.
Yeah.
Have you always loved Great Danes? Did you grow up with them?
Well, no, I didn't. But when I was growing up on Long Island, I ended up having a friend of mine who had a Great Dane. And I used to go to their house and I loved this dog. His name was Buckley, and he sat with his butt on the couch and his two front feet on the floor. And I'm going like, oh, I love going over there and playing with him. And then I'm going like, but we always rescued animals. And I grew up with lots of animals. And it wasn't until I was working on my MBA and I was traveling and I was sitting on a plane next to this guy. We struck up a conversation, and he was going for some big job interview. And I was telling him I was looking at my MBA, and he goes, "Let me show you my pride and joy." He opened up his portfolio, and there was a Harlequin Great Dane sitting on Santa's lap. And I'm going, that is going to be my dog someday. But again, everything is the right timing. And we always rescued dogs. And then all of a sudden, there was a rescue Great Dane, a Harlequin female, 1 year old, that needed a home. And so I went and I took a look at it, told Frank, I'm going to check out this dog and see if it works. And we'll think about it and I'll come home. And I got there and I'm going like, I'm going to bring it home. But I didn't bring it home till the weekend because I wanted to be able to give it a chance. Because I was working, to really spend some time with it. And I got her home. And she never left. And so that was our first. And then once we got to know them, they're just such big loves, and they're people because they're so big that my husband goes, I think we need to get a puppy. And I'm going like, are you nuts? Do you know, so we've only had 2 at a time. The book
I'm
is,
sure any more than 2, you have your hands full. They're like horses.
Yes, they are. I would, if I had a larger house and a larger yard, I would definitely, because they take up a lot of space, and they are just like people. They really are.
Very smart.
Yes, they are. And so each one, I've had 4 now. We only have 2 at a time, and each one of them has a different personality, and each one has different stories that I could apply to fit into their lives, of things that they needed to learn. And it's the same thing with people. We need to learn these different things, and we all have different personalities, different characteristics. And what one story works for one is not going to work for all. So we all need to learn different things at different times.
What has owning Great Danes taught you about living large?
Well, I think a lot of times I really, really struggled when I walked into a room being who I needed to be. Um, and I felt small. I'll never forget, I had, when I had quit my job and I started wanting to get more involved in the community and making connections with people and networking and stuff like that. I walked into the WBOC meeting, and I walked in late because I was like, oh, who am I? To call myself a coach and stuff like that. So I walked in the back room, and I remember everybody used to get up and stand up and talk about who they were, their company, and stuff like that. By the time they got to me, I realized that there were probably about 12 coach, speaker, trainers in the room. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I wanted to slide under the table because who am I? I was just starting. But I also realized that as I went through the coaching and as I went through my certifications, that I really had led as a coach in my career. But later on, I told some of the people that story from WBOC, and they looked at me like, Barb, you? And I'm going, yes, me. It's because I just didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I could stand on my own. I didn't feel I had the worthiness. And so these dogs, when they walk into a room, people go, whoa. And they walk in with full presence, full being, and they know who they are and who they want to be. When I take them to schools, or I take Zeus to school, and I'm on the stage, the kids are just captured by the essence of this dog being so large, as I did as I was young. And so they have really taught me about standing on my own, that it is okay when I walk into the room. I know who I am, and I want to be myself. And then all the lessons in here have been lessons that I have learned through life and working with clients and really wanting to be able to share those stories and the learning behind them, because that's what we're here to do, is to really share, hold, and help people along the journey.
So, in So Much to Drool About, we have Jazz, Bo, Ariana, and Zeus.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing one or two of the different lessons that they have to learn in this book?
Oh, absolutely. So Jazz was our rescue. And one of the things I'm thinking about, what was it like for her to walk into our home? And in my junior high on Long Island, I had this great teacher, Mr. Hardman. He was a social studies teacher. And one of the things I feel blessed that I've had great teachers and mentors around my life. But he stated something, he taught us this lesson about grasping hold of the nettle. And what is a nettle? A nettle is a prickly plant that it hurts when you grab hold of it. And what I've done is I've learned to live my life, right? Life is tough, but you grab hold of that nettle and you keep moving forward. And so she had to learn that she had to get out of this environment where she wasn't loved, that she was going to find people that were going to love her. So that's Jazz. And then there's Bo. Bo was our protector. He would be able to take a look at the situations and really protect us as he's seeing different things. So sometimes we need a protector to be able to shield us from some of the things, but also allow us to learn. Ariana, when we got her as a puppy, she was Miss Independent. And so all the stories about her are settled on really trying to step into your own and knowing what you need to do and being yourself. And then there's Zeus. Zeus, he is like an amazing dog in that he is so perceptive and loving. But with him, one of the things is it's always, and there's a story in there about choices. And I've got this story about there's his dog food, and on the counter, there's bread and butter, which he loves, and then also some meat. And it's about the choices we make. And he had the choice of making, do I want to climb? Because they are literally can reach on the counter with their heads and grab anything. There's a lot of things that have wound up missing. But we all have choices that we need to assess and to really be able to understand what will be the repercussions or issues or problems that occur. So we need to make the right choice, but we need to assess it. And so there's a story in there about the choices. So each one of them have had different personalities. And when I go to schools, I'll talk about which one are you most like? And the kids are going like, oh, I'm like Ariana. Oh, I'm like, Jazz. Or I'm like Bo. I mean, and Zeus, because a lot of people, I bring in Zeus with me. So everybody wants to be like this gorgeous dog who has learned to make choices. And a lot of it comes in the training. And just as they have had to be trained to be within doing the right thing, so do we. We need to be trained. We need to find that path. So, yeah, that's my book.
I can't wait to read it, Barb. Your life has included some pretty profound
Yeah.
personal loss and
Yeah.
even some physical challenges.
Yep.
How did those experiences shape how you view resilience?
Ooh, when I ended up taking this course, um, it was called Crafting the Resilient Life. And I'm going like, well, I've been resilient, I was a widow. Um, I have alopecia. I lost my hair. I stepped into manufacturing and I have had to be resilient. But I realize that all these things have taught me different things. If I had not gone through them, I would not have learned the different things that I needed to learn. After my husband passed away, I was so angry at God, for taking him. But what it did was it made me search more for finding God in a different way or finding the universe. And I really started studying some metaphysical stuff and really being able to connect with that higher power of the universe in a different way. So I learned so much, and I still carry that, carry him because it's just something you just can't lose. My alopecia was really very shocking. Like, women are adorned by their hair. I'm going like, how will I be adorned? What will men think? So many things go through your head, but it also helped me better understand that looking good and getting it right is killing our souls. And it wasn't until probably about 8 years ago that I could take my wig off because I recognized it was a cover up. It was a cover for who I really wasn't anymore. And so that was just a metaphorical mask. And I needed to really be able to take that off and really allow myself to be who I really am. And, I've gone through, a kidney cancer scare. And each time, and I had my kidney removed, and I have to be cautious about some things. But each time I've learned something and I keep seeking something. And I don't always know what my next step is going to be, but there's so much learning for us to grab hold of. I can't, some people say, so when are you going to stop working? I go, I don't know, because work doesn't have to be work, but it can be really sharing things in a different manner to really be able to help people or fulfill your purpose. So I don't know, because there's so much that I want to do. and so much that I want to experience. And through it all, I experienced, learning more about metaphysical, the universe. When I had my kidney cancer scare, I knew I needed to slow down. I learned to play the cello because I thought there's something about that sound that is so really grounding. And I have to end up saying, so, all this, when I stepped out to being a coach, I never thought I'd be a TEDx speaker because I'm going like, who am I to really be able to have something? And I became a TEDx speaker. But it wasn't like I needed to do that. I had to, really get rid of the layers of doubt and just step into it. Being able to be an author. No way could I ever think about being an author, but I brought along a team with me that helped me along the path. And it's like even now, and going into companies and helping them change their culture, and then coaching them to really be able to see what they can do, being their best self. And I'm going like, yeah, I've accomplished a lot, but there's still more to accomplish. And I have to end up saying you never know what the next piece of the journey is going to be, but there's a Center for Sound and Journey with Amy Asante and Megan Thomas. And, I get their newsletters and sometimes I go over there and then they have this thing about shaman energy healing. And I'm going, Megan, what is this all about? And she goes, oh, Barb, I'm not too sure, and stuff like that. So I signed up for it. And one of the things, and this is like where I go to these quantum flirts, as we've traveled, Frank and I, we've done a lot of traveling. Whenever we go to like things like Sedona or Santa Fe or even Onondaga Lake, there's a special energy around this that's grounding, and it's part of the Indian culture, the native Indian. So I always had that in the back of my mind, and I'm going like, oh, I'm going to check this thing out. And it's really about the grounding energy healing of the native Indians, South American and North American. And I'm fascinated by it. Where is it going to go? I don't know, but it's helping me get centered in whatever it is that I need to do in my next journey or in my next chapter. So you never know what's going to come in front of you. And it's like, you got to be curious. Listening and curiosity have really helped me step into so many different things that have really moved my career and moved myself forward. And so I challenge people to start thinking about what is it that's coming before them and looking at it. So quantum flirts.
A quantum flirt. I've never heard of this. Is this simply just staying curious, or how would you define that?
So I heard about quantum flirts in my, again, one of my modalities, one of my coaching, or my ORS coaching, organizational system relationship coaching. And they talked about quantum flirts, and they talked about things that come to us and taking a look at what is that thought, or what are you sensing, or what are you feeling? And I was like, wow. And it's like, it started to make sense to me that we all have these quantum flirts. We have these ideas, we have these thoughts. It's like when you can sit down and be quiet in the morning and have that moment and allow the God, the universe, your higher power to talk to you. Or he'll send you people. They'll send you people or things that will pop in, and all of a sudden you get a string of them. And so you can start connecting them, and then you start stepping into it and saying, is this going to work? And it may not. But if you become curious about what it is and why was it brought to you, and really listen to what's going on around you, you can step into something magnificent. But if you go right away and say, oh, there's no way I'm going to write a book. There's no way I'm going to be a TEDx speaker. And I said that, but I needed to, okay, just put it on its side. And all of a sudden, I listened to somebody who was talking about how to put a TEDx talk together. And I'm going like, and I wrote it out. And I wrote it out 3 years before I gave it. And then it was just the right timing. I became energized and I'm going, where can I find the TEDx place to speak? And so it just connected the dots. And similarly with the book, I knew I worked with a company and there was a person that worked for them. And I said to her, and this was like when I first started like 7 years ago, and I said, Avril, I think I've got a book in me. And she said, Barb, when you're ready, I want to be along the ride with you. And so she left that company, but we stayed in touch. And probably in 2023, she said, hey, Barb, are you ready for that book yet? I said, Avril, let me think about it. I'm thinking it's percolating now. And I said, we're going to go to France in October. When we get back, let's meet. And we met at the end of December of 2023. And then we just started mapping it out and planning it. And little by little, we started having a book. So it's these little things that come, or people that come, they're flirts that come into your life. And you can look at them and say, nope, not now. But then all of a sudden you may be getting additional ones that are going to connect the dot that this is the path and the road you need to go down. And if you can live your life with 2 things, well, 3 things, lots of things, I guess. It's
So
like
many things.
so many things, but being curious and listening and wanting to learn, that's a lot. That will get you so far. And because there's so many possibilities for people. There's so many possibilities for you. There's so many possibilities for me. There's so many possibilities for the listener. We just need to grab hold of things. And also, I'm going to tell you something. Find a guide. Find somebody. Find your team. Find a tribe of people that are going to be there to support you on your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have all these incredible ideas and plans, strategies, and the best work ethic in the world. But if you're going to go about it completely on your own without
Yeah.
any guidance,
Yep.
it's going to be a long, certainly a lonely road. But if there's anything I've learned from seeking guidance, getting support, leaning on my community, it's that things actually can happen a lot quicker when
Yeah.
you allow people in and
Yep.
let people support you.
And when you're open
Mm-hmm.
to them, because you may not always be right.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be a middle of the road, but you're able to take that idea and somehow allow it to percolate till you can make it your own.
Why do you think community matters so much in building resilient leaders?
You know, I was involved with Leadership Greater Syracuse back in the Chucky Holstein days. And Chucky passed at the end of last year, and she was the one who started Leadership Greater Syracuse. And she was my mentor for really being involved in the community, because I think that we as leaders, we have had people who have lifted us up. And as we've done that, we still need to give back to the community, because I think that that's really important to be able to support. Just as we've gotten support, we need to support the different initiatives within the community so that people can have the chance. So she was my inspiration in that. And she really taught me about what it is to be in the community and really being able to help and to give back, because we can't do it on our own. They can't do it on their own. They need our support. Different organization or different people. You can find your why. You can find your stake in something, in a belief of an organization, and be there and guide it and support them in whatever manner that you can share your skills to help them move forward. So I think it's so important to be involved in the community.
What do you hope people feel after interacting with your work, Barb? Why do you
Oh,
do what you do? What kind of impact do you want to make?
I want people to learn to be their best self, and I I'm doing this work because I know I needed it as a youngin', and I didn't have it. And it doesn't matter what age you are now, work with people to find your best self. Work with people that you're going to be able to trust. Work with people that will have your back and will be a partner with you as you move forward. And being able to listen to what you're doing, what you're going through, and hold you in your space, because we all need to be held. My clients need to be held in their space. I don't know what's best for them, but I will hold them in helping them discover what it is that they need to do to be that best self, or to put that company out, or being that best leader in an organization. Because I truly believe that everybody is a leader. And if we can find the leadership, the leader of self, the leader of values and purpose, and the people can really take on the responsibility with their jobs, we can move mountains.
If someone is listening to this episode right now and they can feel that they're ready to change and they're
Yeah.
ready to become their best selves,
Yep.
what would you like them to hear? Where can they start?
Ooh. Well, first of all, a lot of times people are stuck.
Mm,
They're stuck in what they're doing. And they're stuck because they sometimes can't see past where they're at. The antidote to stuckness is movement. And it's like moving towards something, moving towards trying to find somebody to walk alongside you, movement on trying to find a course, movement on trying to find something that is going to motivate you. But find the people that are going to support you along your journey, in helping you get unstuck, but also to help you see things that you can't see.
hmm
I would not be here if it weren't for my coaches, my mentors. And I think about my manufacturing. I had leaders that saw things in me that allowed me to lead, allowed me to contribute to the company, but they held me up to be able to move forward. They believed in me. And I would not have accomplished half of what I did in my manufacturing, nor learned half of what I did, had it not been for the leaders that were around me that saw something good in me and was able to give me that opportunity and that chance. I am ever so grateful for that. And that's what you need to search out for, people around you that will see the best in you and help you move forward.
Yeah. And that's why I say, if you are on a journey, building a business, striving towards whatever goal, and when I said community helps you get there quicker,
Mhm.
it's because, having people around you that understand your goals and are rooting for you and want you to hit them, they're able to identify those blind spots, and you
Yes.
can make those fixes so much quicker than you would if had you decided to go about it completely on your own. But the other reason why community is a beautiful thing is because they remind you of who you are,
Yeah.
and they remind you that you do have what it takes
Yeah.
and your future is bright and that you are supported.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one that believes you can get to where you're going.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need that permission and that
Yeah.
beautiful reminder that we are well on our way.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We do.
Barb, where can people follow your work, stay connected with you, or even support you?
They can go to barbstone.me. That's my website, and you'll learn about me, see about the book. And also follow me on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and obviously Facebook. And also, so I have this business where I go and I work with individuals and I work with companies. But the other thing that I'm so passionate about is the work that I can work with at WISE.
Wise Women's Business Center.
Yes, they really support the women in the community. Let me take that back. We support individuals because I do have men that do come there and help support them on their journey to being able to put a business or whatever it is. Because again, it's all about the discovery. It's not just this thing that they want to put out. It's about, because I talk a lot about the doing and the being. Yes, you have to do these certain things, but it's also about how are you showing up as you're doing things. And that's going to help you better understand your path. So I'm really passionate about working with them. It's an amazing organization. I think sometimes it's a hidden organization because we really have helped so many different men and women, mainly women, with some additional men on their journey to putting good work out in the world.
And you guys provide support for individuals in Syracuse. Is it the Mohawk Valley as well? What are all the regions you guys serve?
There's a trick question. We serve, I think, is it 5 or 7 counties, but I have clients in Watertown. I have a client right now in Saratoga region. We have Cortland. So I think it's 5 or 7 counties that we technically serve, but it is just an amazing organization to really help people on their journey as they're putting out a business or an idea that they want. And it's like they don't know how to go about doing it. And that's like the first step. You need to get unstuck. You need to move. And that's one place to go to really be able to help you also.
Yeah, absolutely. We love including their events, their programs, resources in our newsletters, on our website. The Wise Women's Business Center is an incredible resource that I love referring people to all the time. Thank you so much, Barb, for your time today. I'm so pumped to share this episode with our audience. I think you are fabulous.
Oh, thanks.
And it really was a pleasure to sit down with you today.
Well, thank you for doing what you do, because what you're trying to do is you're really trying to unite communities and unite people and unite women and giving them the support to do what they need to do and really being able to find that within this community too. So thank you for doing what you do.
My pleasure. Thanks, Barb. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cultivate CNY. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love it if you left us a quick review and made sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if something in today's discussion resonated with you, please share it, whether it's on social media or directly with a friend. You never know how hearing this conversation might be exactly what someone needs right now. And I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your thoughts. So please be sure to tag us on social media if you do share there.